Welcome back to Touchdown Kingdom, your number one source for all things NFL all year round. Make sure to like this video and subscribe for all the latest NFL news, updates, and more great content. The Carolina Panthers have flipped the NFL world on its head by agreeing to a massive deal with the Chicago Bears to acquire the first overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft. With a new team at the top, what will the draft look like at the end of April? To answer that question, Touchdown Kingdom has compiled a full first-round mock draft with predictions for every pick in the top 31. Want to know who your favorite team might be adding to their roster in the future? Stay tuned. The Panthers acquiring the first overall pick can only mean one thing. They're drafting a quarterback, and the best quarterback in the draft is Ohio State's C.J. Stroud. Stroud is deadly accurate, completing nearly 70% of his passes over his 2 years as the Buckeyes starter. He also takes care of the ball, only throwing 12 interceptions in that same time frame. Carolina has been in search of their next franchise quarterback ever since Cam Newton left town, but that search should be over if Stroud joins the fold. The Panthers found their next signal caller to pick earlier in C.J. Stroud, and now the Houston Texans get their own in Bryce Young from the University of Alabama. Young may be undersized for the position, measuring in at 5'10" and 204 pounds, but his talent is obvious. The former Heisman Trophy winner has thrown for over 8,000 yards in his career, with 80 touchdowns and only 12 interceptions. The Texans need a difference maker under center, and despite his less than ideal size, Bryce Young is exactly what they need. The first and only predicted trade of this mock draft comes by way of the Las Vegas Raiders and the Arizona Cardinals. The Raiders trade the 7th, 38th, and 109th picks, as well as a 2024 second-round pick, to the Cardinals in exchange for the 3rd overall pick. With that pick, the Raiders make a splash by selecting Anthony Richardson from Florida, the biggest boomer-bust prospect in the entire draft. Richardson is a physical marvel, standing 6'4" and weighing 244 pounds, running a 4.44 second 40-yard dash, and jumping 40.5 inches, as well as possessing a cannon for an arm. The problem is, Richardson is very inexperienced, only starting 13 games in his college career. Due to this, his throwing mechanics are sloppy at best, and Richardson has had some issues with accuracy as a result. The Raiders are the perfect place for Richardson to develop, as he can sit behind newly signed quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo for a year or two, learn the offense inside and out, and tighten up his mechanics and accuracy before taking over the starting job for himself. Quarterback is the most important position in the game, and 4 quarterbacks being selected with the first 4 picks is just more evidence of that fact. The Colts have been in search for a new longtime starter under center for years at this point, shuffling through past their prime veterans like Phillip Rivers, Carson Wentz, and Matt Ryan to lesser than ideal levels of success. This time, Indy goes the opposite direction, adding a new passer through the draft instead of getting another castaway in free agency. Like Richardson, Levis is big, athletic, and has a rocket arm, but needs some ironing out in the mechanical and accuracy departments. New Colts head coach Shane Steichen, formerly the Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator, helped develop Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts into a star and could do the same for Levis, finally giving the Colts a quarterback they can trust. Seattle finally stops the run on quarterbacks, taking the draft's best pass rusher at 5th overall, Alabama linebacker Will Anderson Jr. Anderson has been a force for the Crimson Tide over his 3 seasons, racking up 30.5 career sacks and 58.5 tackles for loss. He can beat blockers in a variety of ways, either with speed off the snap, raw strength, or one of his many pass rush moves in his seemingly endless toolbox. The Seahawks offense saw a revival last year on the backs of quarterback Geno Smith and running back Kenneth Walker. Adding Anderson would give them a new leader on the other side of the ball and boost their chances of success in a cutthroat NFC West division. The Lions know they need to fix their pass defense, evidenced by the fact that they signed 2 new cornerbacks in free agency, Cam Sutton from the Steelers and Emmanuel Mosley from the 49ers. However, you can never have too many good covermen in the NFL, and adding Christian Gonzalez would take Detroit's pass defense from a major weakness to a major strength. Gonzalez is a long, fast, extremely fluid boundary corner who can play in any scheme and against any wideout. Learning from the likes of Sutton and Mosley firsthand would only help him get even better too. The Cardinals greatly benefit from the early run on quarterbacks, adding 4 extra draft picks and one of the draft's best players period in Georgia defensive tackle Jalen Carter. Carter's recent legal troubles could cause him to slide a bit, but his value at 7th overall is just too good for Arizona to pass up. Carter is an unblockable menace on the inside, effortlessly blowing up run or pass plays with mammoth strength and lightning quickness. The Cardinals are starting to build a new identity under recently hired head coach Jonathan Gannon, a defensive identity, and Jalen Carter is the first piece of that puzzle. The Falcons have been desperate for quality pass rushers for quite some time now, and Tyree Wilson could finally be the answer to their prayers. The former Red Raider is an incredible athlete with an imposing 6'6" and 271-pound frame, and above-average 35-inch arms to match. On top of his size, Wilson has a devastating first step off the line of scrimmage that allows him to speed past offensive tackles and take the corner on the way to the quarterback. He's still a bit raw and wins mostly with his athletic gifts right now, but with more time and coaching, he could become one of the league's best pass rushers, and the Falcons would be wise to bring him in. After landing themselves a massive haul from the Panthers, the Bears are set up to sit back and take the best player available with the 9th overall pick, and at this point, that's Clemson defensive end Myles Murphy. Murphy is a long, aggressive edge defender who uses his brute strength to dominate blockers in the run game and power through them as a pass rusher. Luckily for the Bears, Murphy also fills a need, as Chicago ranked dead last in the league in 2022 in sacks with a measly 20. Murphy would be an excellent building block for the Bears' young defense and would go a long way towards assembling a complete team around quarterback Justin Fields. The Eagles have managed to retain both of their starting quarterbacks from 2022, James Bradberry and Darius Slay, but with Slay's age, it would be wise for Philly to start planning for life after Slay now before it's too late. Enter Devin Witherspoon, a smart, physical, vastly talented corner who would have no problems eventually filling Slay's shoes. Witherspoon excels in off coverage, a specialty of the Eagles, where he can use his advanced instincts and agility to read routes from wide receivers and drive on the ball. He's also a ferocious tackler, with a highlight reel of massive hits any linebacker would be jealous of, let alone other cornerbacks. Witherspoon and the Eagles would be an absolute match made in heaven. After releasing veteran left tackle Taylor Lewan, the Tennessee Titans are in need of a new bookend for their offensive line. Ohio State's Paris Johnson Jr. is the best tackle in the 2023 class and would be a perfect candidate to replace the aforementioned Lewan. Johnson has a prototypical frame for the position, standing 6'6" and 313 pounds with a jaw-dropping 85.5-inch wingspan. He combines that frame with excellent agility and flexibility to mirror rushers around the edge and stop them in their tracks. He's also a great run blocker and would have no trouble fitting into Tennessee's run-first offensive attack. Adding Johnson to replace Lewan would make sure the Titans' offensive line won't skip a beat in 2023. The Texans added their quarterback of the future with the 2nd overall pick in Bryce Young, and now with the 12th overall pick, they give Young a dangerous pass catcher to team up with in Quentin Johnston from TCU. Most of the top wideouts in the 2023 draft are on the smaller side, but Johnston is the opposite. Standing 6'3" and 208 pounds, Johnston is a big-bodied receiver who thrives on the outside. He uses his size to box out defenders when the ball is in the air and will be a reliable target who Young can trust when plays break down. The Jets had 4 different players start at least one game at offensive tackle in 2022 due to constant injuries. Currently, their projected starters heading into 2023 are veteran Dwayne Brown, who will be 38 years old before the season starts, and 4th-year player Mekhi Becton, who has only played a single half of football in the last 2 years combined. New York urgently needs to add some new reliable faces to the group, and that's where Georgia's Broderick Jones comes in. Jones is an athletic, powerful blocker who excels when getting out in space, quickly getting upfield and decleating the poor linebackers and defensive backs who try to take him on. He carries that quickness in his pass protection too, having no issues keeping up with speedy edge rushers who try to run around him. Aaron Rodgers has made it clear that he wants to join the Jets in 2023, and Broderick Jones would be the best welcome gift the Jets could possibly get him. The Patriots' offense is in serious need of a spark, especially now that top receiver Jacoby Myers is headed to Las Vegas, and Jordan Addison from USC is one of the most dynamic playmakers the 2023 class has to offer. Addison is a route-running aficionado who can create separation from defensive backs seemingly at will. He won the Biletnikoff Award in 2021, given to the best wide receiver in college football every year while at the University of Pittsburgh, hauling in 100 passes for nearly 1,600 receiving yards and scoring 17 touchdowns. Addison transferred to Southern Cal before the 2022 season, helping Trojans quarterback Caleb Williams win the Heisman Trophy along the way. New England has always valued smaller wideouts who can create separation, and Addison absolutely fits their mold. The Packers are in serious need of a quality safety. Current starting safety Darnell Savage has been the ire of Packers fans for years, and fellow starter Adrian Amos is currently an unrestricted free agent, leaving Green Bay in limbo on the back end of their defense. That's where Alabama's Brian Branch comes in. The top safety in the 2023 class, Branch is incredibly smart and instinctive, reading plays before they happen and stopping them in their tracks before the offense knows what hit them. He's also versatile, spending time at both safety spots and slot cornerback in Bama head coach Nick Saban's complicated defensive scheme. Adding Branch would allow the Packers to solve their back-end problems however they see fit, by either letting Amos walk or moving on from Savage, since Branch could replace either one. Quality offensive linemen are worth their weight in gold, and Northwestern's Peter Skoronski is absolutely a quality offensive lineman. Skoronski is a powerful run blocker with a masterful understanding of leverage, easily getting under defenders and driving them out of their gaps. He's no slouch in pass protection either, studying his opponents as the game goes on and adjusting his pass sets accordingly. The Commanders' current starting left tackle, Charles Leno, is a solid player in his own right, but he'll be 32 years old by the end of the 2023 season and could be cut ahead of 2024 for a cap savings of $12 million. Washington could add Skoronski this year and let him back up Leno in year one, then let Leno walk, start Skoronski in 2024, and save some money all at the same time. There might not be a better match between a team and a prospect in the 2023 draft than Penn State cornerback Joey Porter Jr. and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not only do the Steelers need help in the secondary, but Porter Jr.'s father, Joey Porter Sr., was a mainstay linebacker on Pittsburgh's defense in the early 2000s, winning a Super Bowl with the team in 2006. The younger Porter is a fantastic player in his own right, using his excellent size and length for the position to smother wideouts down the field in press coverage. As the saying goes, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, or in this case, fall far from the steel curtain. Boston College's Zay Flowers is a dynamic deep threat and run-after-catch weapon that could take the Lions' offense to the next level. Detroit already has two dangerous young wideouts in Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, but their former number 3 receiver, DJ Chark, signed with the Carolina Panthers in free agency. The Lions need another target to round out their trio, and that's where Flowers comes in. Flowers is a dynamic pass catcher who can make plays all over the field, short or deep, and would go a long way towards helping the Lions' offense continue to be effective. The Buccaneers released longtime starting tight end Cameron Brate at the start of the offseason, and besides 2022 rookie Cade Otton, there's no one else on the roster capable of filling Brate's shoes. Adding Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, the draft's best tight end prospect, would give the Bucs a deadly young tight end tandem that can dominate the middle of the field and help out in the run game. The Seahawks under head coach Pete Carroll and GM John Schneider have always valued athletic interior defensive linemen, and after Seattle cut veteran DT Al Woods, they have a need on the inside of their defensive front. Clemson's Brian Bresee not only fits the Seahawks' preferred mold of defensive tackle, but he also fills the need and gives Seattle another talented pass rusher to pair with their 5th overall pick, Will Anderson. If the Chargers want to compete in a loaded AFC, they need to surround quarterback Justin Herbert with as many targets as possible. Jackson Smith-Njigba is the best receiver left on the board and would be the perfect piece to round out LA's offense. Smith-Njigba struggled to see the field in 2022 due to various injuries, but he was borderline unstoppable in 2021, hauling in 95 passes for 1,606 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns, despite sharing the field with 2 eventual first-round wideouts, Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. If he can get back to that 2021 form, the Chargers will be getting an absolute steal. The Ravens love versatile pass rushers, especially ones who can win on the edge or on the inside, and with veteran starter Calais Campbell signing with the Falcons, Baltimore needs to find a replacement. Luke Van Ness from Iowa fits the Ravens like a glove. He's big, standing 6'5" and weighing 272 pounds, incredibly strong, and plays with a serious attitude, a must for any Raven defender. Losing a player of Campbell's caliber is never easy to handle, but adding Van Ness would make that transition much easier for the Ravens. Vikings star running back Dalvin Cook has been the subject of trade rumors for months, and it seems clear that Minnesota wants to move on from the four-time Pro Bowler. If the Vikings fail to find a trade partner, Cook could be released for a cap savings of nearly $8 million, freeing the Vikings up to use their first-round pick on the draft's best running back prospect, Texas's Bijan Robinson. Robinson possesses a dangerous combination of traits that make him an elite runner: explosive speed, devastating power, and buttery smooth feet that allow him to cut on a dime. Cook is a fantastic player, but the possibility of getting younger, cheaper, and just as effective at running back may be too enticing for Minnesota to ignore. Jacksonville's former starting right tackle, Jawan Taylor, signed a massive deal in free agency with the Chiefs. If the Jags want to build off their surprising 2022 success, they must fill the hole left by Taylor's departure and find a quality bookend to keep quarterback Trevor Lawrence off the turf. Darnell Wright from the University of Tennessee doesn't get mentioned much among the draft's top tackles, but his tape is just as good as the guys at the top of the draft. Wright possesses a massive 6'5", 333-pound frame that he uses to effortlessly drive defenders upfield in the run game and stonewall them in pass protection. He also has shockingly quick feet for his size, having no issues keeping up with explosive edge rushers who try to run around him. Having played right tackle in Knoxville, Wright could immediately slide into the gap left by Taylor and ensure the Jags can stay competitive in a wide-open AFC South. The Kenny Golladay era in New York is a chapter most Giants fans would like to forget. Now that Golladay has officially been released by the team, New York can make an attempt to find their next number one receiver, replacing the big yet lumbering Golladay with an electric speed freak in Tennessee's Jalen Hyatt. Hyatt burst onto the scene in 2022 by posting career highs in catches, yards, and touchdowns, snagging 67 balls for 1,267 yards and 15 scores, including an impressive domination of the University of Alabama, where Hyatt caught 6 passes for 207 yards and a staggering 5 touchdowns. Hyatt's elite speed makes him an excellent deep threat that defenses have to game plan for, and would add some much-needed juice to the Giants' receiver room. Cowboys' longtime right guard Zach Martin has been one of, if not the best guards in the NFL for practically his entire career. Despite his rising age, Martin is still an elite interior lineman the Cowboys can rely on. He doesn't need a replacement, he needs a partner. Dallas dealt with multiple injuries to their offensive line in 2022, causing the Cowboys coaches to shuffle the unit around and make their players switch positions on the fly. Adding Florida's O'Cyrus Torrence would ensure the Cowboys can keep quarterback Dak Prescott upright and give them another option if injuries strike again. Torrence matches the Cowboys' identity of hulking linemen who can move defenders wherever they want in the run game, while being refined enough as a pass protector to be trusted to start early in his career. The Bills gave edge rusher Von Miller a monster 6-year, $120 million deal in free agency a year ago, but considering Miller is 34 years old and currently recovering from the second torn ACL of his career, the Bills may want to start thinking about the future sooner rather than later. Nolan Smith from the University of Georgia is a lightning-quick edge rusher in the mold of Miller, who could play in relief of Miller as he works his way back to the field and eventually take over for Miller a year or two down the line. Smith tied for the fastest 40-yard dash of any linebacker at the 2023 Combine, blazing the track with a blistering 4.39 second time. He flashes that same impressive speed on tape when he's bursting around tackles on his way to quarterbacks. While already well developed as a pass rusher, learning directly from Miller would only make Smith even more dangerous for Buffalo. The Bengals lost both their starting safeties, Jesse Bates and Von Bell, in free agency. Despite signing former Rams starter Nick Scott, they still need another body on the back end of their defense. Antonio Johnson from Texas A&M is a big, fast, vicious safety prospect who can play either safety spot or as a cornerback. Johnson's versatility would pair well with former first-round pick Daxton Hill and the newly signed Scott to give the Bengals a fluid trio of defenders they can match up with opposing offenses however they see fit. The Saints' tight end room is lacking a true difference maker. Taysom Hill is an effective runner, but he only caught 9 passes in 2022. Former wide receiver turned tight end Juwan Johnson had a breakout season in his own right, hauling in 52 balls for over 500 yards, but he can't be the only factor in the group and can't be relied on as a blocker at only 236 pounds. Adding Utah's Dalton Kincaid would give New Orleans another receiving threat from the tight end position that can also block in the run game, bringing a new dimension to the Saints' offense. Kincaid packs some impressive speed and agility, making him a nightmare for linebackers and safeties to keep up with, while also showing no fear when asked to block. New Saints quarterback Derek Carr is used to having a dynamic tight end, having spent 5 years on the Raiders with now New York Giant Darren Waller. Bringing in Kincaid would help make sure Carr feels right at home in the Big Easy. The Eagles have to start thinking about life after Lane Johnson, and considering their history of prioritizing the offensive line, that time will probably come sooner rather than later. DeJuan Jones from Ohio State is a historically mammoth offensive tackle prospect that dominates his competition with an unfair combination of strength and length. Jones's 6'8" height and 374-pound weight are in the 97th and 98th percentiles respectively for all offensive tackles to enter the NFL since 1999. And his 36 and 3/8 inch arms were the longest of any player at the 2023 Scouting Combine. With the Eagles, Jones could learn under Johnson, another massive and powerful tackle himself, and hone his craft while preparing to accept the torch once Johnson is ready to pass it along. Coming off their second Super Bowl victory in 4 years, the Chiefs have firmly established themselves as the NFL's next dynasty. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes, the league's reigning MVP, looks set to continue decimating defenses and carrying the Chiefs deep into the postseason. That is, however, if he can stay upright. The Chiefs lost starting right tackle Andrew Wiley in free agency to the Commanders and need to find a suitable replacement if they hope to repeat as Super Bowl champs. Oklahoma's Anton Harrison is a thickly built edge protector with a great anchor against power and smooth feet to handle speed. He times his punches well and doesn't panic when beaten early, showing a knack for recovering mid-rep and keeping plays alive. As long as Mahomes is under center, pass protection will be at a premium for the Chiefs, and adding Harrison is just more protection to keep Mahomes off the turf. Thanks for tuning in to Touchdown Kingdom, your #1 source for all things NFL all year round. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe for more mock drafts and other great NFL content coming in the future.